Hi, everybody. Welcome to Holyoke Media. My name is Scott. I'm the executive director here. We're thrilled to be hosting tonight's cable ascertainment hearing here. We're one of the beneficiaries of this contract. We're a private nonprofit charged with providing public access here in this community. We're membership driven. If you'd like to become a part of Holyoke Media or learn more about the organization, please go to our website, holyokemedia.org, and sign up for a member. It's completely free. It takes about 30 seconds and it will loop you in with the communications that we're sending out about what's going on here. With that said, I'm going to throw it over to the mayor for tonight's hearing. Which mayor? The mayors.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Scott. Thanks to all who are tuning in and those who came out tonight. This is part of an ongoing process required under federal law by the city of Holyoke. It is understood to be an ascertainment hearing. Strange word, which you often only encounter at cable renewal time. But ascertaining what the desires and wishes and needs of the community are with regard to this type of television service, cable television in Holyoke. That's what the hearing's all about. And the mayor is, under federal law, the licensing authority solely for issuing a cable license. Let me address two concerns right off the bat. First of all, cable is cable and wireless internet is wireless internet. And for the purposes of federal law and the local authority to issue licenses or regulate, never the twain shall meet. It is almost a separation of church and state, if you will, with regard to the ability of local communities to regulate anything to do with the internet. However, there are some advantages for municipalities to be able to license cable contracts. In this community, there is Comcast, which has the current license and is the sole applicant for a renewal. Frankly, it costs a lot of money to invest into a community, so you usually see the only real providers that want to stay are the ones that already have the license. They've made the investment, so that's why they're looking for renewal. The contract, as of the last contract, allows competition. However, there are some really difficult mountains to climb if you want to come into a community that already has an existing cable company. With that in mind, we will again remind everyone that unfortunately the local licensing authority has absolutely zero control over the rates, over the channels, over the order of channels, and over the content provided over the cable fiber. While you are buying the services from Comcast under a license through the city of Holyoke, that license allows Comcast to sell you the services. It does not allow the city to participate in any way beyond issuing the license and sharing in some of the fees that are associated with providing the service to the citizens. So with that said, let me turn it over to Mayor Joshua Garcia. Mayor Garcia is going through this for the first time as the mayor, as the licensing authority. And he has been the recipient of a couple of letters and some communications, and he has been very active in reviewing the current and existing contract. So let me turn it over to his honor, Mayor Josh Garcia. Mr. Mayor.
Thanks so much, Michael. I'm not going to lie. I actually had to Google ascertainment when I first heard that I was responsible for organizing this hearing. So this is our third attempt. We've had two other hearings. No one came to the first one. Second time, we might have had about 3-4 people. And here we are now with a much better turnout out in the audience. We do have 6 other folks, with the exception to 3 who are all Scott McPherson that are online. And so I did get some letters that were submitted. I do want to offer them into the record here. Should I read them?
You can acknowledge who had submitted comments will be part of the record.
Okay. So I just want to acknowledge those that submitted these letters and then also open up the floor to anybody out in the audience. For anyone that's online, just simply raise your virtual hand and we'll unmute you and acknowledge you so that you can also share some words as well. And also, I think, there were some points at the last hearing we had, although minimal turnout, we had some pretty good conversations with folks that were present, ideas that we like to, that were proposed to include in this negotiation and would love to highlight some of those points just to give some people out in the audience some ideas of what's possible that we can discuss as we try to get ready for this contract renewal, which the existing contract, so that folks know, expires March of 2020, 24, 25, 24, March of 2024, which is great because that gives us a little bit of flexibility and time to be thoughtful in this process and make sure that we're doing a healthy level of due diligence. So this letter here actually was submitted from Mr. Stephen Fay. Should I read it? Did you say I should read it? Or
No, you can just say who it's from.
Stephen Fay. There you go.
This one is from Eleanor Werlin on McMahon Drive in Holyoke.
Oh,
Who?
from Stephen.
Yeah, and this, that's a note from Stephen on this, and asked for the return of the senior citizen discount.
Okay.
We have another email from Tim Champagne asking why the contract is not going out to bid. Comcast has not been good with Holyoke from day one. No individual ability to deal with them. Citizens should have choices. Thank you, Tim. And we have a note from Iris McGrath here in Holyoke asking about feedback on Comcast. She had a contract for over 10 years. Was concerned about the escalation of fees, the issues that caused her billing to go haywire. She did not feel that she got what she had contracted for, and that customer service was always very difficult to understand, and that their service calls did not come in on time. And whenever she complained, she got threatened with termination fees. So I want to enter that into the record so that Iris is heard on this one. And we'll be providing a copy of all this in the record as well as to Comcast. And I think
Yeah.
media.
So Executive Director of Holyoke Media also submitted some points here. Having reviewed the 2014 franchising agreement and listed some recommendations, actually some information that we should solicit per under the contract, requesting information from the licensee, which documents their compliance with the existing cable contract, requests a strand map, which indicates in reasonable detail the current location of any and all transmission of reception lines used in the provision of cable service, as well as any use of any amplification, signal conversion, or other device that alters signal quality or formatting, to ensure the quality and capacity to the home cable services, requests performance tests at any location on the transmission system that exceeds 475 meters from a hub location or point of amplification. Included in this report should be documentation that indicates the usage relationship between the franchisee's television and non-television services, as well as proof that the franchisee's additional services are in no way inhibiting the provision of cable television through this system. And then lastly, provide documentation on the number of and revenues received from leased access channels as provided under Section 5.3 of the current cable franchise agreement. I did submit this to Attorney Bissonnette, who I believe is working with the Comcast representatives that are actively putting together the information. Some points that were brought up, which I fully endorse talking about it and looking into it further. But as we begin the renegotiation process, should require the license to: one, maintain current PEG funding levels at 5% of the licensee's gross annual revenue, excluding any subscriber or capital fees. Two, fully fund the capital needs list provided by Holyoke Media. Three, add Holyoke Media Studio at One Court Plaza to the list of free drops with monthly service and provide at no charge the cable boxes needed to simultaneously monitor the 3 locally originated PEG channels. 4, provided all locally originated PEG channels in high definition. 5, included all PEG channel programming in the electronic program guide. 6, have the capacity to broadcast all locally originated PEG channels with secondary audio program and 2 captioning channels if provided. 7, offer a senior discount. And lastly, 8, for the term of the contract, provide the municipality $10,000 annually in advertising and associated service through the licenses Effect TV platform. Okay. On behalf of all of us at Holyoke Media, it's been a pleasure serving the community as the local access provider. Please let me know if there's any further information you'd like us to provide. So those were submitted letters to the mayor's office. And just to clarify, when I mentioned Stephen Fay, they were letters to my assistant, Stephen, who received them from the folks that Attorney Bissonnette mentioned. With that being said, anyone in the audience or that are online that would wish to offer some comments, suggestions, have any questions, I'd love to open it up at this time. Just come up to the microphone. I guess your name, right? Name. Yeah.
Sure.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Al Williams, or Peter Albert Williams. I'm a Holyoke resident. I live at 101 Pearl Street in Holyoke. I'm on the Holyoke Media Board. I'm also the director of Northampton Open Media in Northampton. I have a lot of expertise in this area. I served on the national board of the Alliance for Community Media, and the state board as well. I want to highlight everything that Holyoke Media has requested in Scott's letter to Comcast and his statement. And I just want to say that this is so important for the city because there are a lot of unheard voices in the city. And a facility like this can help those voices be heard. And so I think it's essential for Comcast to support at the full 5% all these endeavors. It's not, Comcast can pass those fees on anyway if it wishes, so it's of no consequence to them. And they're just doing a public good by not really doing much at all. They do need to supply us with capital funding, Holyoke Media with capital funding. And I think it's absolutely incumbent that they give Holyoke Media an HD channel or HD channels across the board. There's no reason in 2023 whatsoever, with the available frequencies that Comcast has, the bandwidth, to be limiting me to seeing my government in standard definition. It's ridiculous. It's borderline unethical. And so I think it's absolutely a must. And I don't know if Holyoke Media took footage of the opening event, but this room is absolutely packed with Holyoke citizens to celebrate that. I've seen a lot of access centers across the country, and the response here since the building of this facility is absolutely enormous. And so I think it's essential, and it's a no-brainer. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Very good comments. I have here online, John, if we can unmute him.
Good evening. Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much for taking my question. It's a question, and I think Michael mentioned it earlier, with the high bar for individuals to come in beyond Comcast, and it seems like they're the only ones that responded. I don't know if it was an RFP or not, but what makes it so difficult when we already have a license in place in that case, in order to try to get others to either respond, whether it's Charter or another company? Just kind of curious to get some more information there.
Hi, John. Great question. This is clearly an industry in great flux right now. And that's one of the things we're trying to be cognizant of as we begin the negotiations. who can predict what this industry is going to look like at the end of a 10-year renewal? Will this will cable be a desert? And how do we protect people that live in Holyoke and our subscribers in that case? So that's kind of an initial question. The economics have always been discussed as the real difficult mountain to climb for those who want to come in and compete. I would suggest more competition is now going to come once the internet and wireless becomes the 90% source of content for most folks. When that happens, then you'll see real competition. But right now, I don't think you're going to see very many other providers want to come in. Certainly Comcast and Charter have competed for years. And there's always talk of mergers. We discussed that yesterday, that, there's always a question about where Comcast is going to wind up. And frankly, they are the 600, 800 pound gorilla right now. It's not going to be Comcast being bought out by Disney. It's going to be the other way around. So I think there's a good chance that we make this contract, it stays here. But as for getting someone else in, I've heard some incredible numbers, and we've even looked at the possibility of poll sharing. How does that work? Of course, they're not the city's polls; they're HG&E. But any way that the city can see to bring competition, and we'd be happy to explore. That's why it's in the contract now, and I think that finally happened because the industry realized that even if they said, "Come on in, competitors," no one was likely to jump in that water, even if invited. So, hope that clears that up a little bit, John. Thank you.
John, was that it? Okay. Any other question? Anybody else? Welcome.
Evening. My name is Paul Mahalik. I'm a resident, longtime resident, Holyoke, Massachusetts. I'm a retired city employee, retired on disability, had a heart attack. I'm going to be 75 years old next month. I heard mention of a senior discount. My first question is, what is it? I don't know anything about that. I've never applied for it. It's automatic. So I'd like to know where we stand with that. But putting that aside for the moment, we all know where we are in these times, financial times. Using myself as an example, I can no longer go into the workforce and try to make extra money to try to pay off my bills or have the luxury such as having Comcast cable. So I'm kind of stuck in a location where I have to put up what I have. Comcast, very expensive. So if somebody could tell me what the discount is for senior citizens, I'd like to know that. And then I could tell you what I think we should be getting for senior citizens. A lot of us senior citizens, because of our financial means, are stuck in our homes. We look for entertainment through TV. And I'm paying $220 a month. That includes Comcast TV, my laptop, and house phone. House phone's ridiculous because we all have cell phones, or most of us do. So they throw that at us like they're doing us a favor, Comcast. The internet, I use the same communication with my children who live out of town, and friends that live in Florida, wherever. So I really rely on what TV gives me. What it gives me for $220 a month is nothing. If you look at your channels, everything is pay per view. I'll mention one channel in particular, Screen Picks. It's a free channel. If you're looking for a movie, you can see that movie every day for the next 2 months. It never changes. And the same, if they have 2 or 3 movies, they never change. So after you've seen all the movies, you got nothing being offered by Comcast, something new. On another subject, we're starting to see, and I think the future holds, anything to do with sports. The Red Sox, just last week or the week before, couldn't get the Red Sox because now they're on Apple TV. I don't know how that all works, but I think the future holds that we're going to be paying for entertainment, selective entertainment, such as sports. So little by little, they're eating away at what's offered. And what we're paying for and what's offered now isn't worth the price. Again, I'd like to hear about what the discount is for seniors. And I'd like to suggest that the discount should start at 30 to 40% of the existing bill. Because if you're going to give me 10% of $220, that's $22. That's nothing. That's probably 4 gallons of milk a week and a loaf of bread. So let's be serious. And I'm very disheartened to find and listen that we don't really have an edge here. It seems like all the cards are in the hands of Comcast. I'm learning as I go along. First time I ever decided to look into these type of things, but I'm pushed in that direction because there's no money here. So I have to see what I can do about it. But I find it hard to believe that we have very little bargaining power with Comcast or other media operations. Comcast is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And just have to ask yourself, how'd they get there? Well, I'm old enough to remember how it all started. We got taken in to take our antennas off our roofs, that we're going to have this great system, cable TV. I remember the people that started it in Holyoke, can't recall their name at the moment, but I paid $4.95 a month for Comcast or cable. I don't know if it was Comcast at the time. How did we go from $4.95? We lost our right to get the transmission because they changed the dialogue. How do we go from $4.95 to $220 a month? I don't understand that. And it really affects senior citizens because we don't have the opportunity to continue in the workforce. We can't get a part-time job. Nobody wants to hire me. I got medical problems and I'm 74, gonna be 75 years old. So I spend a lot of time at home and outside of TV. I don't have any entertainment. It's boring. It's sickening. So I'd like to see an increase in the senior citizen discount. And I'd like to see us have a little bit more power in dealing with these cable companies. I really don't know how to explain it. One last thing I'd like to say is utilities are regulated by state government or federal government. Isn't cable TV, or should it be, a utility where it could be regulated? Right now, they regulate it. We don't regulate it. They give us a price and you pay it or you don't. And if you don't get it. So some of our representatives, such as the mayor, thank you for being here, or our state reps, somebody ought to look into the item of utilities. Let's see if we can get regulation to go up against the cable companies so that we can get a better square deal. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Thank you.
Well said. Again, it's a federal law that we're operating under. So the states, well, there is a Massachusetts Office of Cable Technology. They have as limited power as the cities do. So all the power is essentially in the federal hands. And I think the industry would probably prefer it that way. So we'll see. But I'm not optimistic that Congress is going to change these rules anytime soon for cable, simply because it's going to be sort of a dinosaur, I think, at some point as the switchover happens. Just sort of like 20 years ago, guys like you and me never thought we'd be walking around with cell phones, and now everyone has one. So it'll be an interesting time to see how this particular contract goes through. Anyone else in the audience?
The senior discount question though, what is the senior discount? Do you know what it is?
I think it's 10 on the basic cable. No?
Any of the reps know what we don't.
Hi, my name
Hi.
is Amy Horan. I'm the manager of government and regulatory affairs for Comcast. And we do have a senior discount, and currently it is $2 off of the previously the digital starter package, which is now called the popular TV package. Order to qualify 65 years and older, who are heads of the household and are eligible for SSI or Medicaid.
Are we currently getting the senior discount?
Under those conditions, yeah.
In our existing contract, though, there is in our existing contract.
Yeah, there are.
Springfield still gets a discount. We don't. You're speaking of where people can hear.
So the comment was that
We do offer this senior discount in Holyoke.
But you said for people with SSI.
That one or the other, you do need to qualify.
I don't
For
think
the-
SSI and.
so the senior discount, there's an eligibility, and if you don't qualify,
Correct.
you won't get it. Sounds like.
Amy, well, yeah.
There's an age portion, or you have SSI, or go to.
I think it's in and. Yeah, so it's, you're 65, you have to be 65 years old, head of the household. And you have to qualify for either SSI or Medicaid.
Why does Springfield get it and you don't?
Well, we'll be asking that question, I think.
Well, we'll look into it.
No, thank you for bringing that up. Amy, well, while you guys are here and up, would you mind talking a little bit? This is not really about cable, but as Mr. Allen pointed out, wireless internet's part of a package these days, and I know there's some information about being able to help folks get that internet service for $9.95 initially, and then free because of something to do with ARPA.
Sure.
You want to
Yeah.
bring
I
us up
can-
to speed on that,
It
please?
definitely isn't part of what the negotiations we're talking about today, but we do have a program in place called Internet Essentials that has been around since 2011. So it's been around for a while. When COVID happened, it became more of a necessity. The federal government came out with the Affordable Connectivity Program. And in conjunction with Internet Essentials, it kind of goes hand in hand. They have the same qualifications. If you qualify for the program, I can happily talk to any of you after we're done with the hearing. I do have some forms that I can provide you. There's a QR code that can be scanned that can easily take you to the website to sign up. But basically, there's a $9.95 program for internet through Internet Essentials, or a little bit faster speed for $29.95. Then with the same qualifications for the federal program, the Affordable Connectivity Program, you would also qualify for that, which would then make the internet free, because the federal government would provide you with a $30 credit. And that's monthly. The credit's ongoing as long as the federal government continues to run the program. Our program with the $9.95 internet and the $29.95 internet is an ongoing program, and that's nothing that's going to stop anytime soon. And that has been in place for quite some time. So happy to can discuss it, give anyone a flyer, but it does offer free internet service to those who qualify.
Is there a way for folks who are not here to be able to access this information online?
Yes, I'm trying to, so you can, online, you can go to xfinity.com and it's /get-IE. So that would be the easiest way to go onto our website. Even if you go on the general Xfinity website, you'll be able to find Internet Essentials. And then on Internet Essentials, it will also give you some information about the Affordable Connectivity Program, which again is ran by the federal government, but the qualifications are similar. And if you qualify for one, you're going to qualify for the other.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
thanks for.
Yeah.
We have a hand up online.
Okay.
Mimi Panich. Hey, Mimi.
Yes, thank you. Hi. This may not work because of the federal regulation, but it occurs to me and has occurred to me that one of the problems and things that people complain about with Comcast, with our existing service, is the lack of transparency in pricing and the difficulty of getting a quote, changing your service if you need to change your service, adding or dropping channels. You hear the stories about, well, you signed into your account, you went through this long process to make these changes online, and then you get a note saying, you can't do this online. You have to call our representative. So you call, you're in the phone tree for however long you are. Maybe you get cut off. Maybe you get somebody who starts to help you, and then they say, well, no, we can't do this. We need to schedule a callback, and they don't call back because things happen. Or they say, we can't do this on the phone. You have to go back and sign into your account and do this online. And then there's the issue of maybe you're talking to somebody and, it's complicated deciding what channels you want, or, an elderly parent you're trying to assist wants, and how that affects the rest of the lineup. And, I don't blame the operators on the other side for being often unable to answer these questions, but it is complicated. They are obviously instructed to try to upsell some of the time. There are apparent bargains that you might be able to get if you get services with them that you might not understand, or, whoever you're working with might not understand. You might say, can I take a few minutes to think about this? Can we call you back? And then if you call back and sit through the phone tree, that deal doesn't exist anymore, but now there's a new one. So what I'm wondering is there any way to specify in our local contract, and I know that we can't regulate pricing here, but just say, you will give a clear explanation of and list of charges online so that somebody who's trying to sign up can know what the price is for what they're doing. And can you ensure that if somebody is elderly, can't easily negotiate the internet, if they make an appointment to get a callback, that callback actually comes? I realize that that's not a very specific proposal, but I'm sure that it could be rendered specific if we're allowed to ask for it and if it makes sense to people.
Thank you, Mimi. Anybody else online? In the audience? Evan, Alexandra, Nate? Peter? Anybody else on? All right. So obviously this is a hearing. We're listening to ideas, listening to concerns. Attorney Bissonet's going to obviously continue to negotiate this. We'll continue to negotiate this with the Comcast reps on behalf of the city. As far as cost concern, and I get and I understand wholeheartedly that that's not in this opportunity here to negotiate, but nevertheless, I wanted to just share a key points that folks got to keep in the back of their minds when they're dealing with the city of Holyoke. We have 4 census tracts downtown. The median household income is less than $17,000 a year. Our school district per capita, we're number 3 in the whole Commonwealth of Massachusetts, with children who are in our school district that are experiencing some level of homelessness. So you can understand the quality of life challenges that people are going through. We have elderly that might not qualify the eligibility we talked about, but nevertheless, we're talking about rising costs, fixed incomes, and they're going through their own challenges. And so, with that being said, there has to be some sort of message brought back that, when you're working with a community like Holyoke, you have to be non-traditional and we got to be flexible in order for us to be able to continue, in order for folks to continue to engage with the services that they need. It is an important utility. I just before coming in, and I thought that my wife is here. She works for the school district. I was hoping she'd say the comment, but I'll say it for her. The program, $10 or free. You have a lot of families that have old bills that they can't pay, and if they have debts, they don't qualify. Those are things that I think that might go a very long way if we can just be a little more flexible with how you're trying to meet the needs of this community. As far as the terms, we'll continue to negotiate. I think Holyoke Media brought forward a lot of really good points to attempt to negotiate and bring forward in this contract. Obviously, we'll appreciate if it was all honored, but we'll do what we can to be sure that the people of Holyoke is under the power offered to us at this present time in this process, that we're getting the best that we could for the citizens of Holyoke. I do want to offer one more opportunity for anybody to offer any one last comment, question, concern before we close the hearing. Anybody online? Attorney Bissonette? Oh, BB's raising her hand.
Could we hear from Mimi Panich again, please?
Sorry, just one global question that was prompted by the mayor's comments, which I think we all know how important those comments are and how central these issues are to Holyoke. But what would happen if we simply didn't re-enter into a contract with Comcast? If they went away, what would we do? I mean, what does the city lose?
Well, the city would lose the revenue that comes with the contract on an annual basis, which has provided a good deal of the funds for programs exactly like this to be able to be televised. Where the city would make up those funds to continue to support and partner with Holyoke Media, I don't know. Certainly individual subscribers would be faced with some difficulties, frankly, as would Comcast, who would have to decide how they proceed without a license to provide cable. Suppose it might spur their internet sales. I don't know. It's an interesting point, but given the lack of competition, it really has become the sort of sort of Damocles hanging over the municipal landscape now. We don't really know what the next cycle or revolution in programming is going to be and content acquisition is going to be. So the future lies before us, but right now we're faced with all the subscribers that are on cable. And so the question, maybe as I see it in terms of going forward, is do we go forward and on what terms for the Hoya community? Or as you say, what happens if you terminate it? Well, I think, you know, that may not be a cliff people want the city to launch off of. But if that's what people want the city to take a look at, you know, there would need to be some voices raised to that end.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because obviously the reason that we're facing down this particular cliff is the internet revolution. And at some point, I'm sure that we will all have fiber. It may take a while, but you know, there are efforts, there is pressure. And the actual cost of fiber, once you've laid the wires, you know, the bandwidth to be piping all of these services and all of the streaming services into people's houses is not expensive anymore. So, you know, one could foresee a future in which somebody who is now on a fixed income and being asked to pay $220 a month for inadequate entertainment could be paying much less and still getting all the entertainment in the universe. And, you know, when that crossover point hits, whether we will have serious price cutting from Comcast or not, you know, I can't foretell. But I just thought as a background point, it might be worth everybody thinking about, possibly including Comcast as they go back and decide for themselves how they want to charge residents here. Anyway, thank you for letting me ask that question.
Thank you, Mimi. No, absolutely.
Good point, Mimi. Good question. Thank you.
On the flip side of everything, there's, you know, been a lot of good. I mean, I think the space has been incredible. What Holyoke Media does, considering the demographic and the challenges we have in our community, the fact that all our public meetings are being able to be broadcast at home and online, and also translated in English and Spanish in real time. There's some good here. And the space, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from everybody, not just in the community, but all around the region. I think this is probably the best facility we have, if not in Western Mass, probably the whole Commonwealth. And people signing up to use this space and do podcasts and do public meetings. So it's definitely opened up public engagement at a level which has been positively and all paid for through the PEG, right? And you know, I heard from the gentleman that commented earlier, shared a lot about the value of having that, so that people have access to connect and information and engage with their government. So that's all good. But on the flip side, $220 a month and the challenges that folks are going through, you know, I hear that, and that's tough. If there is any other comments, we'll close the public hearing.
The ability to comment will remain open until the end of November, so that anyone who listens to this later or watches it on tape, comes up with an idea, thinks it's something worthwhile that the mayor should hear about, feel free to send your comments into to Mayor Garcia's office, and those will be taken into consideration as these negotiations continue.
Did you hear he said, watch it on tape? Watch it on tape. It's being streamed. I'm joshing, yeah.
That was good.
Forward the comments, send emails, mayor's office at holyoke.org. Send us written or typed letters to City Hall, and we'll be sure that we're reviewing them and keeping them into the record.
Typed letters?
The hearing's over.
Kids today.
Thank you, everybody.